And welcome back, everyone. This is part 5 of the behind the scenes for Fallout Who Vegas. This is the final part, at least video-wise, of the work and models that I had built for the Foundry and the game. I hope you enjoy. Here we have more of the Dalek attack stuff. So these were implementing carcasses for the Daleks when they were destroyed. Originally, their actual character models wouldn't change. I think just the glow in the eye stalk would turn off, but otherwise they remained the same. So these gave the obvious illusion that you had actually done something to them and destroyed them. These were using the animated models that I had previously done to help with the fact that they had internal detail put into them. As you can see, that little mutant there. So these were much the same process as the animated ones, just without the animation. So taking the newly reconfigured animated models and ripping them apart, and then having to build all the extra faces into it. Luckily, the texture of the entire thing was very simplistic to work with. It was just a burnt out looking texture all over it. I didn't have to worry about adding specific detail to new texturing work. So that made it a little bit easier. As you can see, several different versions there, you know, kind of goopy and sliding out. Yummy tasty. Who's hungry? Look on Willow's face. And then Mr. Sparky there just, he seems a little upset. He doesn't want to back up. I don't want to leave. What have you done? And here we have the tomb of Rassilon. And once again, Mr. Sparky. So this was to come into a later build. There was going to be a whole actual mini game. I believe you would go around stealing NPC characters, and then you could drop them into. No, I don't eat pre-war food. Jeez, stop asking me. I would drop them in. Sorry, not I. Your character would drop them into the game. Essentially, there's a gamepad coming up for it, and then you would just end up watching them fight it out. Very kind of maniacal Time Lord type stuff. Very fitting for the Tomb of Rassilon. So these were the models that I was making for it. As you can see, an entranceway here. I think this actually ended up being the room with the tomb in it. I'm not sure why, but that's, you know, just the way she goes. There is the game of Pi there, the floorboard. This was implemented. I've never figured out how it worked. I tried to get clips for the previous episode and walked into the middle of this floor and exploded. So, and here is the game table itself. This was modeled after the one in the Five Doctors anniversary edition, anniversary episode, with working glow effects. So you would drop the, you would get little character models for the NPCs that you picked up out in the wasteland, and then you would drop the little character models on the table, which would then activate the glow effect, and that would represent where in the new world you were dropping those characters, and then through some means you would then be able to watch them duke it out. And here we are testing an animation to see if it would work. So this was based on the I can't even remember, the Black Pyramid, I guess. The capturing device featured in the Five Doctors, the one that scooped down, time scoop, that's the word I'm looking for. The one that flew down and sucked up all the doctors. So we were testing the ability to use this animation as a projectile hit. So eventually, whatever time scoop gun we had, you would shoot it at an NPC, they would shrink into non-existence and be replaced with this little black square that would float and then just take straight off up into the sky. And boop, there it goes. just to add the effect in. I don't believe we ever got that working though, fully. At least not integrated. The animation worked just fine, but I don't think we ended up having it actually integrate into the game that way. That was a problem though, that it would float above a character when you hit them. But, c'est la vie. And here we have the time scoop pistol. Okay, there we go. So this was the device that you would use to do the capturing of NPCs. This one, I've never been quite sure if I was happy with it or not. There were aspects of it that I was happy with. So the idea of the kind of floating crystal in the center of the larger circle there, and then the texture animation that was done on the little display screen. So we'll get in a little bit closer here in a second. Yes, that's the back of it. There we go. So I was quite happy with that texture animation. I did like the way that that looked and turned out. But the overall design of the time scoop, it was completely up to me. So the design was completely my fault, I guess. I don't know, never quite happy with it. It's like I had a vision in my head of what I wanted it to look like, but I was never able to put it into reality, I guess, or at least virtual reality. As I said, ideas were there, but just yeah, just didn't quite get them to manifest the way I envisioned it in my head. So next up we're going back to the art gallery, so we've got the 3D painting, or at least a version of one, based again on the 50th anniversary episode. So this was an endeavor, I will tell you. I had to bump the painting out instead of just being flat against the wall to give it this sort of near 3D effect. And you can sort of see how the transparencies on the textures clip through one another a little bit, because I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 layers to it, somewhere around there. But I tried the best I could with not very much space to emulate a 3D environment in that picture. Here we have the Menace Spider. This was for one of DeMaggie's little side project add-on things. This thing creeped me the hell out. I honestly don't remember the episode in the classic series that these are based on, but you would have you would see it in the show where someone would actually have a spider on their back. I think it was invisible, except unless you either looked at it the right way or you had some sort of a filter to see it, but I could be making all that up. But anyway, the idea in the end was that whatever quest you were doing, you know, whatever story arc it took, you would eventually end up with this thing stuck to your back. And while I was never able to do armor, I was never able to get vertex weights and bones and skeleton animations proper. Let me tell you a story about a ring. Friggin' ring. I was somehow able to get him to stick to your back. So these are just some some spider web type details that Dee wanted, obviously, to add to his quest line. So I was just showcasing that for him. The different environment add-ons. Yes. Not much to say about that. So here we have an access hatch, as you can see. This was for another quest line. I don't think these got fully implemented or integrated, but you would have to run around the ship and open these access hatches to fix a part of the TARDIS. As you can see there in the background. So a little bit different in the video here. This is actually a live recording instead of a YouTube video that I uploaded. I did upload one to somewhat showcase this to the guys, but I figured this version here would be a little bit more up to date than that, and I actually wanted to be able to talk about it a little bit more. So this is both my pride and joy of modeling for Fallout 2, and it's also my saddest endeavor in modeling in Fallout 2. Oh my god. Okay, I have a rift. I have a funny story about that rift. That scared the bejesus out of me. Oh geez, was he standing there the entire time and I just didn't see him? Oh boy. Okay, so this is gonna get interesting. This is a little bit of a playthrough, I guess, here. So, funny story. I was testing this model and standing here, and I had got up and walked away from the keyboard for a little bit to get a drink or something, couple minutes, and I came back, and once again I had not noticed that there was a rift in the TARDIS. Ugh. And so, you know, I grabbed the mouse and the keyboard and I moved it. Where the hell is it? And so, you know, I did this, and I looked around, and there was an angel standing right here facing me. And I think, if I remember correctly, I pooped a little bit. It was just Anyway, where is this little guy? He's gonna make this part of the video a lot trickier. We're gonna be standing on edge now. You can still see the access hatch. Look at that. It's an old build, and I'll talk about these walls a little bit too. So this is gonna end up being a 30-minute video. Hooray! Ugh. Okay, so I've got about a minute before Casual Rift opens up in the TARDIS. So as I said, this is my pride and joy. This was originally going to be the TARDIS console for the Fallout 4 version of the mod. It was going to have two separate... this one was directly based on the Hartnell version, the screen version for the Hartnell console, as well as the Adventures in Time and Space, or Space and Time, whatever. And then it was going to have a slight retexture, so it wasn't going to have the green, it was going to have just sort of a white, a cream white, and then I believe these lighting discs here, instead of being red and silver, there you are, you. I see you. Can I talk to you? Nope. I'm gonna find your rift. There! Hey! There we go. Alright. Carrying on. So yes, these lighting up little dome things here, we're going to change from red and silver to, I think, black and orange. I think they were in Hellbent. I think the silver parts were black and the red parts were orange. I think it might have been the same for the Adventures in Time and Space version too, but I can't honestly remember. But obviously it was the same console that they used, so there you go. They just painted it flat white, or cream white. Anyway, this never got implemented in any way, which I am very sad to say. I think the only thing that actually made it into Fallout 4 version was the time rotor, although it was reanimated, I think by Spyduck, because the original animation didn't work for him. Anyway, this, I put a lot of love into making this, modeling this. Demegi sent out a huge chart of all of the controls that were going to be incorporated into the TARDIS console, and I went through and best I could with screen accurate references matched each control to a control on the panel. So each one of these levers and the old doorknob type levers, these ones here, which animated and turned on that light. Each one of these knobs, each one of these little levers, they all had a function. Each one of these piano key switches, as you can see, so these were even labeled in this one. So here we have emergency power boost, engine release. I went through and matched all of them best I could. There was even, so the space-time telegraph, radio wave detector, that was your, well, it's not fully, doesn't have a collision mesh for anything but some of the controls. This was the, what is it, the mag card reader or something like that. These ones were eventually going to have different textures put into them to coincide with the readouts that they had, which kind of made me sad, but at the same time, you know, you can't be accurate with everything. Screen accurate, I should say. You have to make it, you know, playability, or you have to make it playable at least. So as I said, I put a lot of love into this. Let me just animate the rotor here. There we go. So accurate to the show again. This was all from scratch. The time rotor was from scratch. The console itself was from scratch. Everything was from scratch. Animations were from scratch. Textures were they were all from scratch. I made each and every one of these textures, including the lighting up Fresnel lights here, based heavily, obviously, on the reference material supplied by the people on TARDIS Builders, but all kind of redone, so I wasn't just taking their material and slapping it on my console. So I redid all the textures for this. If I haven't said it before, I'm going to say it now. Without the hard work, the amazing hard work and dedication of all of the people at TARDIS Builders, none of this would have been possible. You need to go and check out the reference section for all of their consoles, but especially the Hartnell console. They have spent hours using screen grabs from different episodes to measure out all of the different props and parts of the console that, if they could not find actual real-life reference material on it. So it's astounding. It's jaw-dropping, the amount of work and effort they put into everything. Oh, these weren't animated, unfortunately. You were, and you were. And yeah. So there you have it, and there's a work in progress of one of the roundels for the back of the Hellbent console. Obviously, I'm having a little bit of a texture issue in there, but so be it. I don't think this is going to go anywhere anyway. Yeah, so there's it beats out the Tom Baker console, and it beats out the opening title sequence for me. This is my favorite project to date, and I'm very sad that it just kind of sits in the galley here for testing and probably won't go any further. But that's just life. I don't have the time at the moment. I don't have the ability to coincide time and energy. And if you're wondering why I've got green, funky looking walls, these were the original walls designed for Fallout 4. Who? Fallout Who 4? Fallout 4? Whatever. Oh, never did that one there anyway. Oh, that's right, because the grab list wouldn't work in Fallout 4. That's right. Why are they green, you ask? That's a good question. We were building the console room using the sort of pale green on the console itself. And it was decided to try and transfer that green over to the walls, and I just don't think it worked, to be honest. It wasn't the same texture file. It was a different one, I think. Gave it a little bit more of a marble look to it. But the original version of this was just, it had the same sort of, like, it almost looks dirty, but the same slight marbling pattern to it. But they were just light gray, and they looked a lot better, in my opinion. But these were obviously based on the Hellbent console room. We never saw the corridors, but you can see a lot of the details that I nicked from the console room. Even these were hidden in one of the corners. And these were going to be the new corridors for the Fallout 4 version of the mod. And then it just crumbled under my feet, and I believe Spidex's feet at the same time, and it was left all up to Demegi and Cookie Morph. So they basically redid everything from scratch, except for my time rotor. I think they used my time rotor. Anyway, so there you go. Back to actual videos that I took instead of this one. And here we have the last video that I took. This is it, folks. This was another one of Demegi's side projects here. I honestly don't remember the whole logistics of it, but it centered around Coal Hill School here. So here you can see there's a couple of signs up on the top. There was time travel involved, so there was a fresh sign, and then there was an old war-torn, beaten-up sign. And then there was some surveillance cameras that I did up, just the animations for basic texture animations. Demegi sent me the pictures, and I just kind of added in the little time code and hazing effect and the scrolling. And that's it. That wraps up all of the videos for Fallout New Vegas that I have, including the little 2 bonus clips there at the end, or at least the Hartnell console there. So I might do a part 6. I know what you're thinking on that one. You've already used up all your videos, so what are you going to do it with? Well, I've got reams of screenshots of the sort of in progress items and rooms and models that I was making. A lot of them would be the same that have been in the videos. I'm not sure exactly how I'll work that all out, but there were many other items and models that I had made that didn't really require a full video for. Just a little screenshot, boom, here you go guys, do you like it, yes, no. So yeah, I might do a part 6, cobble all those together, talk over it. If you're sick and tired of hearing my voice, I do apologize. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this little sort of look back at this point on Fallout New Vegas. Until next time.